What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's quick tutorial, I'll be showing you something a little niche. I'll be showing you how to set up the ESP32-CAM with MicroPython. So this, if you don't know, is a very popular board because, first of all, it's really cheap and it has some powerful capabilities in terms of the camera on board with live streaming even to the web that you can view in real time. So a lot of people use this for some simple camera projects. However, although this board is primarily used in the Arduino programming language, some people like myself prefer MicroPython, and they try to get MicroPython on the board. And there are a lot of issues on the internet and discussions online of how to get MicroPython on this board. So I'm going to show you how to get MicroPython on the board and to use the camera with MicroPython on this board, all in this video, all in some quick, simple steps. So if I save you some time in this video after you're done watching, I really hope if I did, you can subscribe to the channel, and even better, donate down below, because I know time is money. So if I save you some time, please consider donating to the channel in the Buy Me a Coffee link. So I don't want to waste any more time. We're just going to jump straight into it here with this library. So if you have been banging your head against this, you probably know this GitHub repository. It is by this gentleman named Mauro Riva, which is the primary method people use to get MicroPython on the board. So the first thing we're going to do is simply go to this link, which will be in the description down below. And we will simply zip this library. So we're just going to download this whole thing. Okay. And then we are just going to open it on our desktop here. We actually don't even need this whole repository, but we are just going to unzip it anyways. We only need one file in this whole repository. Okay. So this is the first step. Just clone that repository from that link. And now the second step we are going to do is we are going to go to our terminal. And you actually have to have Python on your computer for this. And let me just clear the screen to be nice and clean for you guys. So the first thing we have to do is we have to make sure we have pip on our computer. So I have pip3, and pip3 is just the installation tool for packages in Python. We have to install this package called ESP-tool, which will allow us to port the firmware from our computer to our device, which currently right now, as you can see here, is attached to my computer via a wire. So what I'm going to do is just install it. I already have installed ESP tool. Okay, so there's no, oh, sorry, pip3 install. What am I saying here? So pip3 install the library, and that should, I already have installed, so it was quick. So just go ahead and do that. So next thing we are going to do once we have the library and once we have the repo is he actually has some instructions in this repo, which some people maybe don't follow. And I didn't follow right away because I was going on some discussions online and some older work. But we just want to, first of all, take this command, okay? We want to take this command, but we want to change the port based on the port of our computer. So I actually have the command locally, but I'm not going to copy that because my port's a little different. Essentially, you just want to copy that and take the port and replace it. So you're just going to go back to the terminal or CMD if you're using a Windows, and you just want to copy that command, okay? So that's just going to erase the flash on your device. We're just going to enter that real quick. It should be a quick command, and that should just be a matter of moments there. Now, the next thing we want to do is run the next command he has here, which is this ESP tool. And the same thing, but we are going to point to this bin file. So what gets particularly confusing about this framework here, or this firmware, is that a lot of people don't know which one to use. And a lot of tutorials online are suggesting that you use the CMake one. However, I found luck in this one right here as suggested in this page. So we're just going to point to this one, the camera, feed, whatever, all this other stuff, and that will get it to work. So we're just going to follow exactly what Mauro has here in this tutorial, and we are just going to copy that in. So we just want to go back to the terminal. Once again, we just want to paste that in. But before we do that, we want to make sure we're actually in the directory that has it, or point to the path. So I'm just going to go there. I'm going to cd to firmware. And we could see we have the 3 available. So we are in the directory that has all of the firmware. We're just going to copy this, and we are just going to click enter. So this is going to take some time, maybe more than a minute. So I'm just going to jump to the portion of the video when this is done. So I'm going to click enter here. And we are just going to wait, and we'll jump to that section of the video when it's done. Okay, so we are done installing the firmware. We just want to hard reset just to make sure everything is from a fresh start. So to hard reset, we're just going to unplug and plug the device. and we are ready to go in terms of to start coding with the camera and MicroPython. So let's jump into our preferred editor for today, which is Thonny. A lot of people use Thonny for MicroPython. It is probably the most popular editor for MicroPython. So let's just open Thonny. And we are just going to see that we can select the board here. So I already have it selected. Okay, see, no errors here, as you could see. Typically what you would see if you install this incorrectly is that the shell would just be going crazy and showing you a bunch of error messages. Now it looks like we've done everything right. We can actually just show you in terms of the REPL that we can import camera here, which is cool. Okay, and then we could do things with the camera. So we do have the camera module, which is awesome. So we just want to go over one simple example today. And let me just move my head to the right there. We're just going to do an example script just to show you some tips with this library. So we are just going to do this and click new file. We're just going to call it test.py. You can call it whatever you want. And we're just going to show you some pointers here. So I have some sample code I'm just going to copy from the screen on the right here. So we can just do this. So we're going to use these libraries all in a second here. So the first example what we have is we want to take a photo, which is the most popular request, obviously, for going through all this trouble. So we are just going to run this function here and save it locally on the device. And also we have to make sure, by the way, let me remove this for now. We have to make sure to de-init the camera. So that's something I wasn't doing initially, and I found myself, I had to hard reboot it every time I initialize the camera. You have to de-init it every time you use the camera, or else you're going to have to do a hard reset. So if you want to run this on a soft reset, that is, you could just keep running this in Thonny without unplugging and plugging. Make sure you de-init the camera, and if you are using the network, make sure you disconnect from the network. So we're going to run this right now. Let me just remove this UR request because we're not going to do that now. And let's just go and run this example. So if we did everything correctly, we should get an image. And by the way, the image will take some time to save to the file. So I'm just going to jump to the point of the video where the image finally loads to the file, and we're just going to port it to our computer to show you that it worked. So I'm actually going to point the camera at myself here at the computer, and we're just going to run this code. So hopefully, if I did everything right, it should run. So it looks like it took a photo, deinitialized camera, and Wi-Fi. We don't have Wi-Fi set up yet. We'll set up that in a second. And it looks like it did save right away, which is pretty quick. So what I'm going to do here, because it saves so quick, typically it takes some time. I don't know why. We're just going to download it to the desktop. So we can just select the item, download it to my desktop. Okay. So pretty cool. And by the way, there's a bunch of parameters you can pass in this camera library. We're not going to go over that in the sake of the video. You can look at some examples online from the GitHub repository, but that's beyond the scope of this video. So let's just go. We just took a simple JPEG photo, and we could see, awesome. So it proved to you that it worked. Not the best resolution, but it does do some powerful things for the pricing and the minimal setup here. So we just took a photo, which is awesome. Next thing I want to show you real quick is how to install libraries. So something you may notice is you don't have access to typical libraries you do in MicroPython. That's because we have a very basic version of MicroPython with this firmware. So if you want to actually pip install things, you have to use upip. Okay, so in order to use upip, as you can see, I jumped forward a little bit in the video here and created this config.py file, by the way, which contains my internet credentials, just to save some time in the video. The next thing you want to do on top of this code that we have is, first of all, we want to import the config if you are using a config file for your internet. And that just contains the two constants that have your Wi-Fi name and password, nothing fancy, just for security's sake. And what we want to do is we want to connect to the internet. So let's just go ahead and remove this code. And so we just copied some new code in that I have off the screen here. And we are just going to, first of all, connect to the internet. And if we have any issues, we are going to print the exception. And we're going to give some time to connect to the internet. Otherwise, if everything is good, we are actually going to pip install the library we want. So we can import upip here. And we can upip install the library. So upip.install. And we are just going to install the UR request library, which does not come with this version of MicroPython. Very popular library to make requests to the internet. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and run this code. And one thing you also have to do is you have to disconnect from the internet. So you saw that code that I deleted in the beginning, which is this code right here. So you have to make sure you disconnect from that network, or else you will have issues rebooting. So make sure to add this line as well if you've connected to make sure you disconnect in the end. So we're just going to run this and install UR requests. And by the way, you can just go ahead and plug in your credentials here, hard code as a string. I mean, I just did it for the sake of the YouTube video off the camera just to save that sensitive information. So we could see it's installing UR requests and it should have installed it. So we could just go ahead and refresh this. And we see that in the lib, we have the UR request library, which I tested and it does work. And you could do this with other libraries as well. We can go ahead and remove this code. And hopefully this gives you the tools to use the camera, to install with UPIP, and to use the network on this ESP32-CAM in MicroPython and in Thonny. So if I did save you time and this is working for you, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And once again, even better, donate in the link down below. And also let me know if you have any questions. There are a lot of uncertainties around this whole process online. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching and take it easy.